Going on YouTube? It's your boy Bill for Anything, and on this video I'm going to talk to you guys about some tips that I think can help you guys in regards to relocating. As most of you may know, if you've seen some of my last videos, you know that I recently relocated from New York to Dallas, and a lot of things went into my planning, and I've done videos talking about pros and cons of living in Dallas. But I feel like a lot of my process can help a lot of people regardless of where you're moving to. So I got this idea from one of the messages that I've gotten on YouTube, which I've gotten a lot of messages asking questions about just, you know, Dallas in general and just relocating in general. So I feel like I should do this video here just to kind of give you guys maybe some of the things that I probably didn't mention or I didn't elaborate on. All right, so let's do it. Okay. The number one thing, and this goes without saying, regardless of where you're going to be moving to, you got to visit it. You just got to. Whether it is a day or two or a week, you got to visit wherever it is that you're thinking about living, okay? That's what I did, all right? I visited here back in August, and I think it was about a week or so, and I basically just took the opportunity. I got a rental, and I just drove around, just viewed the city. I mean, I drove around. I was never in the hotel. You know, I went to restaurants, I visited different places. And so you should too, because you gotta understand that you're picking up wherever you're at. I'm assuming if you're watching this video that wherever you're leaving from, right? That wherever you're going to, you want it to be an upgrade on your life, right? I mean, that's why you're doing this, right? I'm sure you're not leaving one situation to go to an even worse situation, right? Now, another thing I want to tell you guys is about a website called I think it's www.city- right or -data, right .com. Now, I really like that site because on there you get to basically kind of pinpoint the area that you're thinking of going to. So whether it's Dallas, whether it's LA, wherever, and you can see different posts from people who may have questions, the same questions that you have, right? What's the best schools? What's the best areas? Is this area you know, a violent area, or is there a lot of crime in this particular spot? Like, a lot of people post and ask questions, and people do respond. And so I actually did that for myself. I actually put in Dallas, you know, is this a good place for young professionals? Or, you know, what's a good area? Is it uptown or downtown? What's a better place to live? So it really helped me out too. I can't stress it enough. You gotta take the time to research. Like, this wasn't, even though a lot of people that I may have told felt like it was a last second thing, but this was planned. You know, I took months looking into not just Dallas, but just other areas as well. And so you got to make sure that you have at least more than one location that you have in mind, but you want to make sure that you do your research. And online is a powerful, powerful tool, guys. Like, I mean, anything you're thinking or any question you may have, somebody's asked it and somebody's answered it. Okay, so I can't stress that enough. Now, another thing is, what I did was that I had to make sure that wherever I was going, that it was convenient for me, for the things that I like doing. Now, I always get people that ask, like, is there a good scene for this, or dating, or yes, but it depends on you. You see what I'm saying? Like, here's what I mean. Like, for example, I like to work out. Back in New York, you know, I had a gym that was like 30 minutes from me, and I really liked the gym, but it was just so far out, and parking was a hassle, so I couldn't really stick with that gym, right? So I made sure that when I was coming up here, I wanted to know, like, okay, if I plan on living uptown or downtown or in this particular spot, where's the nearest gyms, right? So if you're into CrossFit or you're into boxing or anything like that, you can Google and see, like, are these areas close to me, right? Another thing, everyone knows, I'm vegan. So there's certain supermarkets that I know I can go to and purchase items that I like to eat, right? So I'm looking to see, is there a Whole Foods around here? Is there a Sprouts? Is there, Trader Joe's? These type of supermarkets, because I know that I don't want to have to go 40 minutes out, right? So I did that. So whatever it is that you're into, if you like to run, you want to know where's the nearest park. Like, these things are important to your quality of life. Now, everybody's quality of life is different. Now, I'm speaking as someone who's, I'm not married, I don't have kids or anything like that. Now, if you have a family, I would imagine you're going to be looking to find out is this area the best schools, right? What's the crime rate like? Now, nobody wants to live in an area where there's a lot of crime. So, I mean, that was important for me to make sure too that, okay, is the area I'm going to, what is it like, right? So you want to make sure that whatever it is that you need in order for you to be comfortable, that that where you're going to, that you can at least create that type of life, or at least have that kind of stability, right? Now, the next thing is you got to understand that wherever you're going to is probably going to be way different from wherever you're coming from, right? So you got to understand that there's going to be an adjustment period. All right. No need to rush it. Right. You don't need to come down here and try to create a bunch of friends right off the bat and try to recreate the exact same scenario. If you went out every Friday night with a group of friends, you got to try to do these things are going to come. Right. What you got to do is you got to just stay active. That's probably the best thing I could tell you, is just stay active, whatever that may mean, whether that means join some sort of like social group or whatever, which you could go online. There's things like Meetup, which also has an app, but you can just make sure that whoever you meet, you engage with, you just go out. You go out to gatherings, you explore, you meet different people. There's different ways for you to do it, but you got to understand that it's going to take time. It takes time to build relationships with people. You got to understand that everybody is not going to warm up to you right away. It takes time. Think about all the friends that you may have now currently in the city that you're in. I grew up with some of the people that, I still talk to. I'm talking like decades, not decades, I'm not that old, but you get what I mean. Like people who I've known 5 years or 10 years. You can't expect to recreate that type of symmetry with just any and everybody just right away, right? So that's going to take time. Okay. As far as like the dating, I also get asked that about. Also, people ask me that as well. It's like, what's the dating scene like? And I would tell you, and I would imagine wherever you're going to be going to, right? You want to make sure what's the age group of the people around. So, for example, that was important for me. Where I'm living at now, I'm in a loft. I'm in an area which is considered downtown Dallas. Most of the people in my area, my building, they're probably, I don't see them with any kids. They're not older. They're more on the young professional side, right? You have artists. I want to say millennials. If I had to break it down, I'll probably say they remind me of, they're millennials. They're like me. And so you want to make sure that, listen, if you're an older person or you like a certain type of scene, you want to make sure that you live in an area that has that kind of vibe, right? So what I mean is you probably don't want to look for something that's in the suburbs. You don't want to be somewhere that's, really, really residential, where it's more of a community of families. So you got to pay attention to that too. Like, what's your situation, right? I had a friend, she moved up here from New York, and where she lives is ideal for her because she has a family, she has kids. I couldn't live where she's at. And for the most part, she couldn't live where I'm at right now as well, because I have bars, I have, there's always a bunch of like music events and different things. This is more of like people come down here to hang out for the most part. So I feel like I did my due diligence and I don't regret coming up here at all. In fact, my area I feel is really, really like up and coming. Like they're looking to build. There's a lot of new construction, a lot of new restaurants that they're opening up as well. And I feel like in the next 2 to 3 years or so, like this area is going to be like, it's like moving into an area before the big stadium just got placed there, right? Like you're happy you had a head start before everyone else starts to realize like, oh snap, this area is popping. I got to move down there. And then it gets so crowded and the prices go up, right? So, but I want you guys to understand that I did do a lot of research. I was online, I Googled, I spoke to people. I visited, right? Like you can't shortcut yourself when it comes to that. That's very, very important, guys. Like, especially if you got to remember, you're uprooting your life. You want to make sure that you upgrade. And in order to do that, you got to make sure that you take that time to make sure. And lastly, listen, if all things don't go well, life is short, baby. You ain't gotta stay where you don't feel like you're not happy. If you go somewhere, you stick it out for about a year or so. If things don't click in about, I want to say, give it like maybe a year and a half to 2 years before you really start to understand like what's really going on in an area. But if you feel like it's not for you, chuck the deuces, pick up and try somewhere else. That's the beautiful thing about life. That's the beautiful thing about this country, is that you can explore and live anywhere you want to live, right? So one thing that I probably underestimated but realized, like, damn, if I wish I could change that, is that there's not, at least in Dallas, like, there's not a lot of beaches. And so there's not any beaches that I know of at all. It's relatively flat, it's dry in terms of the climate, so you're not gonna find a lot of beaches. They do have a lot of lakes, but what I say to myself is, hey, if you really want beaches, you could go to Mexico, you could go to LA. I mean, you can go somewhere else where there's a lot of beaches, so it's not too bad. And when you're on the west coast, you basically can get to those places a lot quicker than coming from the East Coast. So, you know, that's how I kind of rationalize that. But anyway, guys, that's basically it. Like I said before, I really do enjoy being here. I enjoy the environment, the weather, right? So that's another thing you got to make sure wherever you're going to, that the weather is suitable for you, right? So if you don't like the cold, don't move to a cold weather place. If you don't like the heat, don't move to a hot weather place. You know, you maybe want to stay somewhere where it's a bit of combination of both. Places like New York, places mostly on the East Coast, you get a little bit of everything, right? So anyway, guys, that's my tips for today. Thank you for watching. Like if you like this video, share with anyone who you figure could use these tips. Subscribe if you're not a subscriber. And your boy, I'm out. Alright? Peace and love, y'all. It's your boy Bill for anything. I'll catch you on the next video. Let's get it. Peace.